Hi, collectors. Thanks for watching. I'm the Collector of Coins, and welcome to
the higher or lower coin game, where coin dealers face off to test their knowledge on coin mintages. Which one has a higher or lower mintage than the other? We have a few dealers coming up. Stay tuned.
And after 20 rounds, Bob has 12, Dave leads with 13, and Scott has 12.
Let's see how they do in this episode.
And in the meantime, if you're not yet a subscriber, consider subscribing to my channel, and please turn on posting notifications.
I just want to welcome everybody to the show today and wish you a happy and healthy new year.
Well, Scott, it's great having you back. I hope you're looking forward to the next round of the higher lower coin game.
Thank you. The competition is fierce and I'm biting my nails and can't wait to see how we do on this round.
We left off on the last video talking about the 1865 3-cent piece, which has just over 11 million minted. We're going to compare that coin with the 1962 Franklin half dollar. Talk about the Franklin half dollar.
I think Ben Franklin, as important an individual as he is in our American history, I'm just not crazy about the coin.
Kind of simple.
Franklin half dollar was after the Walking Liberties and before the Kennedy.
I'm not really crazy about the obverse or the reverse.
The smallest eagle on any U.S. coinage.
Give me any pizzazz at all.
No key dates in that series.
It's just not a great coin in some respects.
They don't command a premium value.
So they generally, for me, just carry silver value.
Unless you get into really, really high grade like MS65 with full bell lines on the reverse.
Because they didn't do a great job on giving a lot of detail to Liberty Bell.
Where the strike is so perfect.
The bottom is the high point, so
where you can see complete lines going across.
You have a lot of times where you had a lot of areas where the bell lines didn't show up.
In my humble opinion, I would say the reverse of a Franklin half dollar is more attractive to me than the obverse.
I like the Liberty Bell. I've been there. I've seen the Liberty Bell. It's just an iconic piece of history.
Does the 1962 Franklin half dollar have a higher or lower mintage than the 1865 3-cent nickel piece?
I believe it's higher. I know the Franklins were well minted.
Okay, let's take a look. Yep, and you're spot on. Very healthily minted.
I believe the 1962 half dollar is going to be a higher mintage than a relatively high 11 million back in 1865.
Let's see if you're right. Yes, you're right. Massive amount minted. Probably an unnecessarily large amount minted.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But I'm glad there's a lot of silver out there for us to collect.
I think it has a little bit of a lower mintage to it.
All right, so you said lower. Let's see if you're right.
Yeah, you're starting to get into modern coinage with the Franklins. Even the Walkers for me is sort of modern.
Yeah, I know you specialize more in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, and earlier in some of the oddities.
Well, modern coinage tripped Dave up and it's all tied yet again. Let's move on to the next coin.
All right, this time we're going to compare the 1962 Franklin half dollar with the 1979 Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony dollar.
I'm just not much of a modern coin person.
Not very popular.
I remember when this first came out, 1979.
It's proved to be a fairly useless coin in circulation.
It replaced the Eisenhower, but the big gripe back in 1979 was like they're too much like the size of quarters.
It's slightly bigger than a quarter.
So they really didn't take off a whole lot because of the size.
We're so attached to the paper dollar.
So they weren't around that long, like 79, 80, 81, I think. It was like a 3-year run.
Canada's been able to switch over. They have a dollar coin and the $2 coin.
They're decent design. I like them. I mean,
down here in the States, we just can't seem to get away and go to $1 coinage from the $1 paper note.
I think the Susan B. Anthony artwork on that coin is rather attractive.
The front suit, the obverse, Susan B. Anthony is just, to me, it's okay. But the back, I really like the back
They did a good job of engraving her hair, but
with the eagle on the back. It's a good, I like that design.
Does the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar have a higher or lower mintage than the 1962 Franklin half dollar?
It's the first year of issue. Many times on the first years of issues, they mint a lot more, anticipating collector demand.
I'm probably going to be digging my own grave with this episode.
That's a really interesting comparison that you present.
My gut says lower. 35 million is a decent mint.
Wow, 35 million for the half dollars.
Susan B. Anthony is clad, so it's not going to cost anywhere near as much to mint.
I think it's higher.
I'm going to go with higher.
I'm gonna say it's even higher on the SBAs.
And yes, you
Wow,
are correct.
that much more. Wow.
That's a lot. I wasn't expecting that many.
And everyone scored in this last round. It's all tied up still. Let's move on.
So right before the Susan B. Anthony dollar, we minted an Eisenhower dollar. Talk about the Eisenhower dollar.
So the Eisenhower dollars were made from 1971 up to 1978. Parents used to give me the dollar coins when I got good grades in elementary school. So I really liked the Eisenhowers and was distraught when they replaced them.
I could tell you a great story, a family story. I just found an Eisenhower dollar that is going back to my brother. He lost it, and I just found it in a piece of furniture that was to be thrown out, and it was one of my dad's 2 Eisenhower dollars that he rubbed for years and years and years. And it's almost a flat disc. If you give me a second, I could go bring it and show it to you. It's a beautiful coin. I found it. I am so excited to give it to him.
Yeah, grab it. What perfect timing that this is in the video.
All right.
Pretty good idea of putting the moon on it.
But yeah, the eagle on the moon, that's right. That's a great design. I love it.
Really a great design in the reverse.
I like the Eisenhower dollar, and my dad had these 2 Eisenhower dollars for many years. So I'll hold it up and I'll show it to you. Let's see, is that? And so my dad had 2 of them. This is the one that was lost.
That was something real interesting.
Big favorite of mine from my childhood.
So we're going to talk about specifically the bicentennial Eisenhower dollar.
Most of those were clad, although some of them were, the proofs were 40% silvers.
The Liberty Bell presents much nicer on this coin than a Franklin half dollar reverse. That's my opinion.
What's so special about the bicentennial Eisenhower dollar?
Oh, this is an interesting one.
Do you know that they minted these in
75 and 76.
This was a big celebration for our country, obviously our 200th anniversary.
And it happened during the 200th anniversary.
Any bicentennial coin has got a little extra attraction.
Does the 1976 Eisenhower dollar have a higher or lower mintage than the 1979 Philadelphia Susan B. Anthony dollar?
I don't believe they made 360 million of them.
It has a lower mintage. I don't think they went as crazy as what they did on the Susan B. Anthony's.
Even though they started minting them in 1975, the bicentennial quarter, half dollar, and dollar, you will not find a 1975 dated version of those because they started mint production of the bicentennial the year before. So they had 2 years of mintage.
So if you get a 1975 mint or proof set, you'll get the bicentennial coins.
I think I'm going to stick with my answer that it's lower than the SBA, despite the fact that it was minted for 2 years.
All right, let's take a look. And you're correct.
Yeah, I think it was lower. I don't think they went as crazy.
And you're correct.
Yeah.
A lot lower.
Yeah. Like I said, they didn't go as crazy.
360 million is a lot of coins. I'm going to go lower, even though they were minted for 2 years and the bicentennial was a huge event. I'm going to go lower.
All right, let's take a look. And yes, you're right. Only 4 million minted.
Well, we did our best to try to trick the dealers, but no go. They all got it correct, so we're going to move on.
We're going to compare yet another modern coin, the 1976 Eisenhower dollar compared with the 2014 Philadelphia minted Kennedy half. These are both from Philadelphia. Thoughts on that coin?
I kind of like the coin. I mean,
That coin was popular right from the start.
Kennedy half dollars for me are just plain Jane. They're still in production today.
I never get tired of looking at a regular old Kennedy half dollar.
President Kennedy had obviously been assassinated.
A lot of people saved them. they like Kennedy as a person.
I don't think they'll ever be worth a whole lot, but they have been wildly popular.
That means there's a lot of 1964 Kennedys, the first year of issue, that are in uncirculated condition.
The first year of issue, 1964, they kind of rushed that out to production.
And when I buy a collection, it's always going to have a box, a bag, a bucket full of them. And some of them will be silver, and a lot of them will just be common $50.
So 1964 was incidentally the last year that we minted silver coins. From 1965 to 1970, they did make halves in silver, but it was only 40% silver.
Does the 2014 Philadelphia minted Kennedy half have a higher or lower mintage than the 1976 Eisenhower dollar?
I think the $50 has long been fading in popularity by 2014.
I think it's higher, but I'm not too sure when they started making the Kennedy halves only for the uncirculated sets.
4 million is kind of low for a mintage.
I've got to think that they started reducing the mintage.
Because at some point they stopped minting them for general circulation.
I feel like they would have minted more than that, so I'm going to go higher.
All right, let's take a look.
Ooh.
Lower. Here's the tricky thing about the Kennedy half dollars. Starting in 2012 into, I think, 2020, they were not minted for circulation. They were only minted for collectors.
Okay.
You could only get these directly from the U.S. Mint. These NIFC, not intended for circulation coins, do make their way into circulation.
But I'm going to say the Kennedy is a lower mintage than the Eisenhower dollar.
All right, let's take a look. And you're correct.
I think it's higher.
All right, let's take a look.
Ooh.
It's lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. They stopped producing these for circulation in 2012.
Okay. I knew it was around that point.
Yeah.
And Scott jumps in the lead with that round. Still anyone's game. Let's move on to the next coin.
So now we're looking at the large cent. Talk about the large cent.
That's gone through a few iterations in design over the years.
A large cents. I love large cents.
I like large cents very much.
Some people think the early large cents have an image of a crazed woman on it.
Large cents were the first actual coin that we made in this country for circulation for the entire country, along with a half cent.
And there's so much history behind them.
With the hair outflowing.
There's several varieties of them.
That started in 1793 with the chain.
The flowing hair is beautiful, although finding one in great condition is just about as difficult as it is very expensive.
There are 3 key dates to that series. One is obviously the 1793. 1799 is an extremely hard one to find. And incidentally, that's the last one I named for my date run collection for large cents. And then the 1804 is a really hard one.
Before the matron head.
They were made all the way through 1857.
Where they had it curled up and the beaded decoration as part of the design. That's probably the best looking one for the large cents to me.
The large cent is just remarkably attractive to me.
I'm very partial to drape bust coinage.
I'm a plumber, so copper is what I work with. So a copper coin to me is special in that way.
Does the 1816 large cent have a higher or lower mintage than a 2014 Philadelphia Kennedy half dollar?
I certainly don't know the answer.
Oh, so let me think.
But again, using the time period,
This is the early years of the matron head.
Yeah, this is definitely the one I like.
as popular as a penny was. Wow. Now I'm second guessing myself.
There's something about the face that looks more realistic.
Does the 1816 large cent have a higher or lower mintage than the 2014 Philadelphia Kennedy half dollar?
I feel like it was lower than 2.5 million.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
All right, let's take a look. It's a
0.8.
little bit higher.
2.5 million. Did they make more or less? My first answer was that they made less of the 1816 large cent, and I'm going to stick with it.
Higher. We had to recalibrate somehow.
Higher mintage.
As a higher mintage.
Yeah, saying higher.
All right, let's take a look. You're correct.
And with that, Dave catches up with Scott. Bob trails with 1. Keep an eye out for an upcoming episode where we wrap this up and we see which dealer wins the game. Thanks for watching.
If you're not yet a subscriber, consider subscribing to my channel and please turn on posting notifications.